Our planet, a shimmering blue oasis in the vastness of space, is a marvel of life and beauty. From the lush rainforests to the expansive deserts, from the towering mountains to the deep blue oceans, Earth is a unique and precious gem in the cosmos. Yet this beautiful blue planet is facing an unprecedented crisis. The very lifeblood of Earth, its oceans and ice, are under immense stress. The polar ice caps are melting at an alarming rate, causing sea levels to rise and threatening coastal communities around the world. Scientists are working tirelessly to understand the full extent of these changes. The latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, paints a stark and sobering picture of the profound transformations already underway. This comprehensive study highlights the rapid warming of our planet and the cascading effects on ecosystems and human societies. Glaciers are retreating, coastal erosion is accelerating, and coral reefs, the vibrant underwater cities, are dying. These changes are not just distant threats, they are happening now, affecting millions of lives and livelihoods. The loss of biodiversity and the disruption of natural systems are warning signs that we cannot ignore. It is a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the urgent need for collective action. Communities around the world are rising to the challenge, advocating for sustainable practices and pushing for policies that protect our environment. From renewable energy initiatives to grassroots movements, the fight against climate change is gaining momentum. But time is of the essence. We must act now to preserve the delicate balance of our planet and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come.
The evidence is irrefutable. Human activities are the dominant driver of the observed warming since the mid-20th century. The burning of fossil fuels for energy, deforestation, and industrial processes have released billions of tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, primarily carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These gases act like a blanket around the Earth, trapping heat and causing the planet to warm.
High up in the world's mountains and across the vast expanses of Greenland and Antarctica, ancient giants are stirring. Glaciers and ice sheets, once thought to be immutable features of the landscape, are retreating at an alarming rate. These frozen reservoirs, holding the majority of Earth's freshwater, are melting at a pace unseen in millennia, driven by the relentless rise in global temperatures.
The IPCC report paints a stark picture of this ongoing transformation. Glaciers around the world have been losing mass since the 1970s, and the rate of loss has accelerated in recent decades. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, the largest contributors to global sea level rise, are losing mass at an unprecedented rate. The melting of these ice giants is having profound consequences both locally and globally.
As glaciers retreat, they leave behind vast lakes of meltwater, often dammed by unstable ice or rock. These lakes are not just picturesque remnants of a once frozen landscape, they are dynamic and potentially dangerous. The meltwater lakes can grow rapidly, fed by the continuous melting of glaciers, and their stability is often precarious. These glacial lakes pose a significant hazard, as they can burst their banks without warning, sending catastrophic floods downstream. The sudden release of water can devastate communities, infrastructure, and ecosystems in its path. The force of these floods can uproot trees, erode soil, and destroy homes, leaving a trail of destruction that can take years to recover from. In mountainous regions, communities rely on glacial meltwater for drinking water, irrigation, and hydropower. This meltwater is a lifeline, especially in arid regions where other water sources are scarce. The seasonal flow of glacial meltwater ensures that crops can be irrigated, and hydropower plants can generate electricity, providing a sustainable source of energy for remote areas. The shrinking of glaciers threatens these vital water resources, potentially leading to conflicts and displacement. As glaciers retreat, the volume of meltwater decreases, leading to water shortages during critical periods. This can exacerbate tensions between communities competing for limited resources, potentially sparking conflicts over water rights and access. The melting of glaciers and ice sheets is also the largest contributor to global sea level rise. As these massive ice structures break apart and melt, they add significant volumes of water to the oceans. This not only raises sea levels, but also affects ocean currents and weather patterns, leading to more frequent and severe storms, coastal erosion, and habitat loss for marine and coastal species. Coastal communities around the world are already feeling the impacts of rising sea levels. Flooding has become more common, and many areas are investing in sea defenses to protect against the encroaching waters. However, these measures are often costly and may only provide temporary relief as sea levels continue to rise. Marine ecosystems are also in distress due to the changing conditions in our oceans. Coral reefs, which are vital to marine biodiversity, are particularly vulnerable. Warmer ocean temperatures and acidification are causing widespread coral bleaching and die-offs, threatening the myriad species that depend on these habitats for survival. Scientists are working tirelessly to understand the full impact of glacier retreat and to develop strategies to mitigate climate change. Research is focused on predicting future changes, understanding the complex interactions between glaciers and the environment, and finding ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to slow the rate of global warming. Communities are also adapting to the changing water resources by implementing sustainable water management practices and investing in renewable energy projects. These efforts are crucial in building resilience against the impacts of climate change and ensuring a stable and secure future for generations to come.
As these frozen giants melt, they release billions of tons of water into the oceans, causing sea levels to rise around the world. This process is not just a slow, gradual change, it's accelerating. The rapid melting of glaciers and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica is particularly alarming. These regions hold vast amounts of ice, and their melting contributes significantly to global sea level rise. The IPCC report projects that global mean sea level could rise by up to a meter or more by the end of the century, depending on future emission scenarios. This projection is based on extensive research and data collection from around the globe. Scientists use sophisticated models to predict how different levels of greenhouse gas emissions will impact our planet's climate and sea levels. The potential rise in sea levels is not uniform. Some areas may experience higher increases due to local factors such as land subsidence and ocean currents. This rise in sea level threatens coastal communities around the world, increasing the risk of flooding, erosion, and saltwater intrusion. Coastal cities, home to millions of people, are particularly vulnerable. Infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and buildings are at risk of damage or destruction. In addition, saltwater intrusion can contaminate freshwater supplies, making it difficult for communities to access clean drinking water. The economic impact of these changes is profound, affecting industries such as tourism, fishing, and agriculture. As sea levels continue to rise, the need for adaptive measures becomes more urgent. Communities must invest in flood defenses, sustainable urban planning, and resilient infrastructure to mitigate the impacts of these changes. The global community must also work together to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and slow the pace of climate change.
The IPCC report lays out several scenarios for the future, each dependent on the actions we take today. From low-emission pathways that could limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, to high-emission pathways that could lead to catastrophic impacts. The choices we make now will shape the climate for generations to come. Addressing climate change requires a multifaceted approach involving mitigation, adaptation, and resilience building. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is crucial, but we must also prepare for the changes that are already underway. Investing in renewable energy, protecting natural ecosystems, and developing sustainable infrastructure are key steps towards a more resilient future. Climate change is a global challenge that demands a unified response. No single country can solve this crisis alone. International cooperation, shared knowledge, and collective action are essential to safeguarding our planet. Together we can create a sustainable and equitable future for all.